Chauncey Ray Billups, born September 25th, 1976. Chauncey Billups has to be the biggest example of both stunted growth and growth spurt, as that's kinda how his career played out. Perfectly on the fence of is he or is he not a Hall of Famer. I've seen many make the case why he should be a Hall of Famer, and also cases as to why it hasn't happened yet, and a few that say eventually one day he'll get in. He has to, right? Well, ask Damian Lillard, and he's confused as to why his former head coach isn't in after all these years as well. Since 2018, Chauncey Billups has been eligible for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, and every year he's been passed on, and many don't understand why. Today, I'll give you 3 of the biggest reasons Chauncey Billups should be, but is not a Hall of Famer, while also explaining the most important reasons he's been passed on all these years. One thing we know for sure though is that Chauncey Billups was one of the best point guards of his era, catching his stride after a few difficult adjustment years in the NBA, 5 to be exact, and 4 different teams before he signed with the Detroit Pistons for a bargain 5-year $34 million contract. We all know how it went from there. He became a 5-time All-Star, NBA champion, and Finals MVP, leading his team to 6 consecutive conference finals and back-to-back NBA finals in 04 and 05, defeating a juggernaut early 2000s Laker team that won 3 straight from 99-2000 to 2001-2002. That gave Chauncey Billups the juice to even say he belongs in the Hall of Fame alone. Top it off, he was awarded the Finals MVP, one of only 2 point guards to win a championship and Finals MVP of his era. The other has been inducted in the Hall of Fame already, some French guy named Tony Parker. I call Chauncey Billups' Hall of Fame case confusing because just as there can be great arguments for why he should be in the Hall of Fame, there's also arguments to the contrary, and to be perfectly honest, I haven't seen one on either side that isn't valid. Again, I've never seen a player fit perfectly on the fence like Chauncey Billups. He was a winner or overachiever on every level, but never really able to stand out with his individual play outside of course his championship and Finals MVP. Billups never averaged 20 points in his career and was arguably never the best player on his teams, a la Andre Iguodala. He was a champion and Finals MVP as well. Should he make the Hall of Fame too? In 04, when Chauncey's Pistons won the championship, that Finals MVP could have easily went to Richard Hamilton as he outperformed Billups during the season and in the playoffs, including that fateful Finals. Obviously not to take away from Chauncey Billups, as I do think eventually they'll let him in based on their past reputation of leniency toward borderline players. Here are 3 reasons Chauncey Billups still hasn't been named a Hall of Famer. Let's talk about it. Salute to Top Tier Podcast for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get her, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Chauncey Billups was a 6'3" point guard from Denver, Colorado that was a standout in high school since day one, literally. He was a starter as a freshman, first team All-State all 4 years, Colorado Mr. Basketball 3 times, and the Colorado Player of the Year in both his sophomore and junior years. He was also a McDonald's All-American in 1995, but didn't play because of an injury. He decided to stay close to home and attend Colorado, winning co-freshman of the year in the conference with Paul Pierce, averaging 17, 5, and 6, along with nearly 2 steals. As a sophomore, he was top 5 in points per game, steals, assists, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage, not to mention win shares, leading his team to a 22-10 record and the second round of the NCAA tournament. He racked up conference awards and eventually had his number 4 jersey retired by the Buffaloes, making the second stop that retired his number, and would eventually be 3 in total, as so did Detroit. Reason number 1, lack of individual accolades. If it were called the Hall of Good, Chauncey Billups would have been in since his first eligible year. But after 5 years of eligibility, he's still not, then there has to be a reason. Let's face it, everyone loved Chauncey Billups, as they should have, because no one exemplified what it meant to be a professional and sportsman like he did. He was the ultimate teammate that remained poised no matter the situation, and you never seen him blame his teammates on or off the court. He showed up to work, and even when he wasn't playing well, he stayed confident, kept getting better, and finally found himself with the Detroit Pistons. Let's not forget, this was the 3rd overall pick in the draft, behind Tim Duncan and Keith Van Horn, and ahead of Hall of Famer Tracy McGrady. This was no slouch. Chauncey Billups was the man in high school and the man in his only 2 years of college before he was a top 3 pick. But his first 5 years may have really hurt his case for Hall of Fame, but not more than as an individual player. Outside the 04 finals, his individual accolades placed him just on the fence of should he or should he not get in. Detractors love to say, well, he was never a top point guard in the league, but truth is, he was simply overshadowed by guys that had skills and personality made for the spotlight like Allen Iverson, Marbury, Steve Nash, and even Jason Kidd. When it came to individual play, all those guys had the stats, the awards, the endorsements, and the fanfare, but Billups was quietly right there, 4th in the league in 05-06 in assists and the 2nd best point guard on the foul line, behind Steve Nash. It was the year Billups made his first All-Star and the year Nash won his 2nd MVP. Yes, he was a 5-time All-Star, but so was Amari Stoudemire, actually 6 times, not 5. Jermaine O'Neal, Shawn Kemp, all with 5 or more All-Stars and not in the Hall of Fame. Ask Mitch Richmond, who arguably made it off individual accolades alone, as he never improved winning on his teams and was in the right place, right time to win with the Lakers in 2002, his final year where he played 11 minutes a game. Billups always had better players around him, and he made them even better in sacrifice of himself. But it took away his shine as an individual and opened the doors for his Hall of Fame resume to be questioned. Stunt number 2, sexual misconduct backlash. In 1997, a woman accused Billups in a civil suit, stating that on November 9th, following an evening at a Boston comedy club, she was assaulted by Billups, Ron Mercer, and another roommate at Antoine Walker's home. She did not file criminal charges, and the matter has been settled out of court, although the long-term damage was done to Billups' relationship with his wife, who was his girlfriend at the time, and to Chauncey Billups' career, mainly after basketball when he attempted to get the Portland Trail Blazers head coaching job. His past was brought up, and the feeling was it would be a slap in the face to Portland fans who didn't want a coach even accused of such an offense. Of course, he did get the head coaching job, but obviously the NBA and its fans haven't forgotten what happened nearly 30 years ago. Since then, Billups has been, as mentioned, a model of success in the NBA. In the end, the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame is still a business and a brand that has to protect the name and are careful about sensitive allegations of such. Chauncey Billups wasn't arrested or charged, but the backlash of Hall of Fame snubs so far were even deeper punishments. Stunt number 3, time has to happen. And lastly, I think the Basketball Hall of Fame is just waiting for the right time to induct Billups, and the previous years just weren't it. Since he's been eligible in 2018, a woman has been included in the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. From Katie Smith and Tina Thompson in 2018, Teresa Weatherspoon 2019, Tamika Catchings 2020, Yolanda Griffith, Pearl Moore and Lauren Jackson 2021, Lindsay Whalen and Swin Cash 2022, and in 2023, Becky Hammond. All this makes the Hall of Fame wait on Chauncey Billups, in my opinion, not wanting his assault backlash to peek its head again, like it did simply applying for a coaching job. If any of those females were to deem Chauncey Billups uncomfortable to be around or a part of the same Hall of Fame class, it could spell bad press for the prestigious Naismith Hall of Fame. I think unfortunately Chauncey is gonna have to wait for the perfect year where he could join a class that won't threaten the brand nor overrate his deservedness. Me personally, I think Chauncey Billups is right where he should be for the time being. He didn't have a first ballot Hall of Fame career, and I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't come for another few years. He was well liked as a player and is well liked as a personality and coach, but individually, he hasn't stood out enough to be inducted so soon. Karl Malone retired in 2004 and didn't get in until 6 years later. This was once the second all-time leader in points, currently third all-time, no championship, but individually, a much better career than Chauncey Billups, and he too had allegations of misconduct. Sexual misconduct is never okay, but Chauncey was never convicted of anything non-consensual, and the matter has been settled. But you know what they say, perception is everything. All in all, Chauncey Billups will be a Hall of Famer. We all just have to wait for the right time. Many speculate that 2024 is his year, and it just might be. He was a great player and seemingly person during his time in the league and stood out on every basketball level. He'll be in soon, but for now, for these reasons, he's not. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.